You see the product, now take action. Miracle Food, suitable for all ages, the perfect cleanse and reboot. A product that helps promote a healthy immune system and a great anti-inflammatory. Don't just take my word for it. Sandman at Viral Hip Hop News strongly suggests you go over to chakradoctor.org and try out the incredible product, Miracle Food. Let's go.
And I mean, just didn't even. I'm not thinking of so many things. Nick Cannon, look at that, man. I mean, that was like they still got him apologize. Like he apologizes 3 times a day before he even eats breakfast. So I'm just not really. I don't care. If other people want to go cape for the Jewish community, they can do that. But I'm not one of those guys.
I was just going to ask you about Nick Cannon. My next question too. How do you feel about the aftermath of that? He actually went back and got his show back. Do you think he lost in that situation? He kind of bowed down, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think that Nick. See, what happens is that, unfortunately, the reason that our community cannot move forward the way that it should is because we have a lack of balance. We have an overweighting in terms of the people that white mainstream media tends to pay attention to. They tend to pay attention to like entertainers and athletes, and they ignore, so many other people in the community that have something important to say. They ignore the activists, they ignore the scholars, they ignore the lawyers, they're ignoring the doctors. They'll go ask Lil Wayne questions about political science that a political science professor should be answering. So these are very serious questions, but that's all by design. It's designed to kind of create a clownish perception of Black people because you're grabbing the clowns, or you're grabbing people that are answering questions that are above their pay grade, that are outside their area of expertise, making them look crazy. Like as crazy as I would look trying to go in the booth and become a rapper. I can't do that. Right now, Ice Cube, and I promise you, we'll definitely drill in on what you're saying about Nick Cannon. Now Ice Cube, shout out to him because Ice Cube understood that balance. Ice Cube understood that, look, as an entertainer with a gigantic platform, I have a role to play, but I'm going to respectfully play that role in a way where I'm going to call people. He called me, he called a bunch of people to get input, to know what to say when he would go out there in front of the world, and he did it beautifully, right? And I love that kind of partnership, right? So the problem that you have is not everybody's as smart as Cube was during the election. A lot of these entertainers think that because you got 20 million or 30 million Twitter followers, that you're naturally an ambassador for the Black community. When in many cases, you're having a conversation that's above your pay grade. And the thing is that because they've got this alpha male bravado, they want to jump out there out front. Like the shit pops off and they like the guy who just joined the gang last week. And as soon as something goes down, he's like, where's my strap at? Where's my gun at? Right. And he's ready to go, but he's never really been to war. Right. You're not really a soldier. Like you just showed up. Right. There are people that have been fighting this battle for a long time, and they're not so quick to fight because they understand the gravity of the situation. Right. So when you look at two examples I think of are Nick Cannon and Snoop Dogg, where they jumped out in the front of a conversation, in front of a racial conversation, because they could get the most attention. And then what they did was they took the wheel of the truck and they drove the truck off the cliff. When Snoop Dogg came out and called Gayle King a doghead bitch, I said, man, why did you say that? Like, it was great until you got to that part. Now I know exactly what's going to happen. They're going to come back and they're going to put weight on you because now they're going to start calling you a sexist and all this other stuff. And Snoop was apologizing 3 days later and kept apologizing. Like Nick, they got Tourette's. I'm sorry. Well, that's because they got too much leverage on you. You're too wired in to that infrastructure for you to really be acting like you're some kind of a rebel. That's all a persona you've built, but we know that that's not really, like, you're not really about that life. So with Nick, I felt like he could have contributed, right? Like he was doing great.
Yeah.
He's out there, he's being pro-Black. He's got Candace class. I love it. If I were him, I probably wouldn't have even had an interview with Professor Griff. Somebody else should do that interview. Maybe Nick can promote the interview, right? But maybe Nick shouldn't have been the guy doing the interview because Professor Griff is going to have an honest conversation about all issues that relate to race. Nothing's off limits to him. You can't have that conversation if you're a Black man trying to keep a job. You can't. So when all that happened to Nick, I wasn't surprised. And it happened exactly the way I expected. There's too much money on the line. I don't know how much money these guys are making, Nick and Snoop or whatever, but I imagine that they've got quite, $50, $100 million on the line. Who's going to give all that up just to stand by your principles? It's very hard to do. So the best people to have those conversations are the people that are already marginalized from the system. the Farrakhan types. So maybe people like me. I don't work for anyone. No, I don't ask anybody's permission before I say what I got to say. But people like that should not be having those conversations. Go keep your job. Nobody's going to be mad at you for that. But what people will get mad at you for is when you step out and take the lead, and then you take a movement that was bigger than you, and you completely undermine the credibility of it because you want to punk out when the heat gets hot.
Yeah. Have you ever been on Cannon Class?
I have not. And I don't expect to be invited, and I don't dislike Nick, but if I were him, I wouldn't invite me because I probably done pissed Nick off by my truth about the whole situation.
I mean, you would think, I don't know Nick, but he would appreciate it. That's the kind of people he was bringing on. You would think, but I ain't Nick. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to talk about